Welcome to the MDC milling tutorial. We will first discuss safety concerns, machine anatomy, general use, and then additional resources. Relevant safety notes include: do not wear loose clothing or jewelry, know the location of the stop button, metals will be hot after milling, and double check the work area before you start the machine.
This is where the motor is housed. This is the column of the mill, and this is the base or work table. The table is furnished with two adjustable handles that provide independent movement along the X and Y axes. The location of the table or working piece relative to the cutting end mill is tracked using the digital readout. One or both of the axes readouts can be cleared, allowing you to zero the machine on the desired starting point. The on-off buttons are located here. The quill controls the height of the mill's cutting tool. This height is changed by moving the lock handle on the left and spinning the quill handle on the right. Based on the size of the end mill or drill being used, this height can be locked into place. Depending on the material being milled and the size of the end mill you're using, the cutting speed may need to be adjusted. Harder materials are cut using lower speeds in order to improve the quality of the cut as well as extend the life of the end mills doing the cutting. To change speeds, the rubber belts housed within the motor need to be arranged on the pulleys in specific orientations for desired speeds. Instructions for belt orientations are on the front of the mill, below the power switch. To determine the appropriate cutting speed, use the chart located on the bench next to the milling machine. Base calculations upon the size of the cutter and the material being milled. This is what an end mill looks like. They vary in size, shape, and hardness. End mills pair up with collets based on their diameter. The end mill should fit snugly within the proper collet. The collet is what is ultimately mounted to the milling machine, securing the end mill or drill as it is tightened. If you're using the mill instead as a drill press, you can insert a drill into a collet similar to the collet for end mills. The main difference is that you secure the drill bit by twisting the end of the collet, adjusting based on the drill bit's diameter. You can use the same drill collet for a wide range of drill bit sizes. When you insert the collet and end mill into the milling machine, first open the motor casing and loosen the main spindle if not already loose. Insert the collet and end mill into the bottom and hold with one hand while you spin the shaft with your other hand until it is tight as possible. Next, use the tools on the bench dedicated to the milling machine to tighten one last bit. You may now close the lid. For the piece you plan to mill, you will need to either secure it directly to the workbench or by vise. Here you see how to properly secure a vise using bolts and washers. Using a hex wrench, give the bolts one final tightening. Now you're ready to mount your piece and begin milling. After you've adjusted the height of the quill to an appropriate height that matches your piece, you can turn on the mill and prepare to cut. Avoid setting the height too deep so that you're not taking off excess material each pass. Trying to do so puts the end mill through undue stress and has the potential for damage. If a deep cut needs to be administered, do so by executing multiple passes, incrementally getting deeper in small steps. It's best to cut in a single direction at a time, always starting from outside the piece and never plunging the end mill into the material you're working with. Next shown is drilling. The drill bit and the appropriate collet were secured to the milling machine in the same manner as the end mill. To drill, just be aware of how much clearance you need for your drill relative to your piece and avoid plunging excessively deep beyond your piece. The biggest safety concerns are drilling too deep and hitting the vise or table. Varying the table with the adjustable handles along a single axis at a time allows you to drill identical holes in straight lines. By monitoring the digital readout, you can ensure your holes are evenly spaced. When you're done milling, you need to remove the end mill or drill bit you used. After you've turned the machine off and it's stopped spinning, open up the motor once more and loosen the chuck as much as you can by hand. Notice that the collet and end mill stay stuck in the machine. A mallet can then be used to hit the top of the spindle, dislodging the collet and end mill. Be sure to have one hand under the end mill to catch it as it loosens or falls. After closing the mill, the final step is to clean up any shavings or parts you may have left on the bench and surrounding area. If you require advanced instructions or have any questions, ask the lab supervisors in the Medical Device Center before proceeding.